Hi everyone, Vindicated Jones here. I was kind of avoiding this subject as Frontier have copped a fair bit of bashing lately in regards to crime and punishment and changes to engineers. And while some of it was valid, some of it less so. And personally, I didn't want to add to the negativity. I just felt there was enough discussion on the topic. Also, I feel crime and punishment and the changes made to the engineering system are still a work in progress and need to be adjusted and fine-tuned over time. There was just too much outrage for some of the issues that were obviously bugs, and Frontier would obviously address these in time. So I'd rather give Frontier the time they need to sort things out, fine-tune and balance both systems before passing any kind of judgment on it. Constructive criticism is one thing, but plain out bashing is another. However, this leads me into today's topic of discussion, the narrative grind. Grinding materials for engineering is one thing and I can kind of live with it, as you can do various activities in finding these materials. However, being forced to repeatedly grind a single mission 20 to 40 times just to get materials for Guardian weapons and system modules is obviously not a bug but a design choice, and it's here I start having major issues. After initially grinding out the materials for most of the Guardian weapons and slightly losing some sanity points, I swore I would never do that again. But the temptation of the FSD boosters was just too powerful. So I decided, screw it. I'll get the power plant and might as well get the distributor while I'm at it. So I stocked up on some alcohol, aspirin and some episodes of Critical Role and headed off on my journey. A gazillion scans later, I have now completed that journey. Upon returning to my home system, I sat there in space dock after shutting down my engines and I thought about what I had just done and whether or not it was worth it. It was when I discovered that they removed the FSD booster from the game due to some bugs, I snapped. But instead of going on a bloody rampage through my neighbourhood with a weed whacker, I decided instead to make this video. While I'm very happy that the Thargoid and Guardian storyline is progressing, there is a very distinct lack of narrative. Well, unless you think text boxes in Galnet are a narrative. Back in December of last year, Frontier did something that not only was refreshing and new, it upped the ante in storytelling with the passenger rescue missions after the initial Thargoid attack. We suddenly had an interactive mission with video and voiceover and a very atmospheric environment that just added so much immersiveness to the game. Most of us, including myself, were very impressed and thought perhaps maybe Frontier are stepping up the interactive narrative of the game. We then had some community goals for the AX weapon system and then eventually some news sites for the Guardians that offered up weapons and modules to help fight off the Thargoid threat. Frontier had this chance to do something unique and interesting in order for players to procure new Guardian technology for their ships, but instead chose to fall back onto a system of repetitive grinding that not only killed immersion but ruined a perfectly good chance to expand their storytelling capabilities. What we got was an awkward, repetitive mess with annoying Guardian Sentinels that aggravate your grind even more by trying to flip your SRV over with their weapons fire. Doing it once is fine. Hell, doing it 5 to 10 times wouldn't be so bad either. But if you want all the Guardian weapons and modules, be prepared to do this same run at 2 different sites at least 56 times, and that's just for the blueprints. You will also need all the Guardian materials and other engineering materials to complete each item you want, which could potentially involve even more runs. Don't get me wrong, I like that we have to explore the Guardian site and figure out how to activate each pylon and find all the materials. I have no issue with that. Doing it for the first time is kind of fun and, well, very atmospheric, but by the 6th or 7th time, you mostly know where everything is and start building up a pattern on how to complete it. After the 10th run and about 50 Sentinels later, with a few rearms, repairs and possibly a refuel, you'll start to develop a twitch and the thought of spacing yourself starts to become extremely tempting. It would be great if you could do this as a wing, but as I found out, the Guardian data points only allows one person to collect a data blueprint, so then you have to start taking turns on who scans the data point. I mean, seriously. This could have been so much better. Frontier could have introduced a far more immersive narrative but opted for just what seems to be another engineer grind but with some fancier elements. Yes, I'm very well aware that Frontier could say that you're meant to earn these over time and that you don't have to do everything at once. But the reality is that most players, once they have travelled 1,000 light years distance to get there, will stay there until they have what they need. And usually, if you're there to get one item, then most likely you'll end up staying there to get more. 1,000 light years is a bit of a hike to just go out there on a whim, so most commanders tend to go out there once or twice and grind until space madness kicks in and you're dribbling foam from your mouth onto the keyboard. I think Frontier need to stop expecting players to play how they want them to and look at how players actually engage with the game and develop activities that suit those engagements. Most players, not all, but most players I've talked to want some kind of storyline progression, something that increases immersion and allows players to feel more part of the story. And while I hate to bring up other games to compare to Elite Dangerous, I think Star Trek Online, another MMO, handles storyline progression and item grinding extremely well. Yes, I'm aware Star Trek Online has other issues that can make it equally frustrating to play, but you have to admit their mini episodes can be quite entertaining. If you haven't played Star Trek Online, then basically they have episodes that you can play through that follow a specific storyline arc. Each episode is broken down into missions that you can play for specific rewards. And the best part about it is you can select which reward you would like to receive. Each mission will involve talking to NPCs that are often acted by real Star Trek actors and will give you objectives to complete. Sometimes this will be interrogating a prisoner, scanning consoles, repairing items, modules, and solving puzzles. During missions, you will also engage in combat with various enemies both in space and on the ground, with a strong narrative that is always driving you forwards to complete the mission. Once you've completed the mission, you can then select a mission reward. This could be a selection of ship modules or other useful items. You can then proceed to the next mission in the story arc and continue the story. Now imagine translating that across to Elite Dangerous. Let me lay out my idea for you. You get a message from some shady unknown character offering you the chance to obtain secret new Guardian tech, but it won't be easy. The contact recommends you using a fast, small to medium ship with lots of heat sinks, as some stealth will be involved. You are then fed some coordinates to a planet which you can find a crashed military ship containing data that will lead you to a secret Guardian site. As you get to the coordinates, you find out that some pirates have discovered the wreckage themselves. You can then engage them in some NPC conversations with the pirates. You could convince them to let you take the data for credits or destroy them in combat. After obtaining the coordinates, you notice that there are 2 to 3 locations on your star map. There could be a puzzle involved here, allowing you to either decipher which is a correct location, or you can just fly to each location and search them manually. During the journey, you could be hunted down by pirates and other interested parties, forcing you to either fight or flee. Once you have found the right location, you discover a large Federation or Empire battlecruiser over the Guardian location. Your contact then informs you that you'll have to use your silent running to sneak past the patrols and land on the planet nearby the Guardian structure. Get too close or get too hot and the patrols will detect you. You can attempt to run and try again or be killed. Once you have landed, the regular Guardian mission can take place. As soon as you have scanned the Guardian data point, there is a message from your contact informing you that the battlecruiser has detected the activation. Now begins a mad dash to your ship and to get on board before the patrol arrives. Once aboard, you receive another message from your contact that you have to stay below 1 kilometer off the planet's surface, or the battleship will be able to lock on with weapons and destroy you. You now have to outrun the fighters chasing you while staying below 1 kilometer until you have reached a safe distance from the battlecruiser. You can then escape. Once you are safe, the contact can inform you of your success. They'll ask you what you have discovered, and it's here where you can select the module or weapon blueprint you want. They will then say to you, "Congratulations, our contacts will get these blueprints out so everyone can build these weapons and modules." You can then use regular engineering items to build the blueprint at any Guardian technology broker to unlock that module or weapon. This is a much more exciting and engaging way to obtain upgrades for your ship and can easily fit into the current game mechanic. It is also repeatable in order to obtain other items, but not so grindy that you have to repeat it 50 times. We are then also left with an open-ended storyline of the unknown contact and who they are and who they are working for. This could tie into some espionage missions later and some other interesting activities. Now please remember, this is just a rough idea, but you get the point I'm trying to make. Having more interactive set pieces will add so much to Elite Dangerous. I get the initial concept was to make the original game, but with upgraded graphics and functions. But I think these days, players want to see more for their gaming time. They want to feel more connected, feel more immersed in their own personal universe, and giving them some more meaningful and personal interaction within the game will make the grinding aspects of the game less prevalent. Make missions more interactive, make the static faces of people in the universe interact with us, let us see our NPC crew in the cockpit even. But most importantly, build a more interactive story to follow what's happening within the game. Text boxes, Galnet articles, even Galnet audio are not enough in this day and age. We want more interactions with NPCs, stronger storylines with missions that help propel the narrative, and not just collect resource Y X amount of times. I will openly admit I have no idea how hard any of this is to implement, but these are just ideas, concepts, something to build upon, something Frontier can think about and come up with their own solutions. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing Frontier, not at all. I think they have a very difficult job. Do I think Frontier purposely try and sabotage their game? No, of course not. Do I think they are incompetent or don't care about Elite Dangerous? No, that's just ridiculous. I really do believe in their desire to create an awesome space game and are genuinely excited to introduce new elements to the game. I think they must work extremely hard to make Elite Dangerous what it is, and when I see comments about how Frontier don't care or purposely trying to wreck the game, I can just imagine how the dev team must feel. Do I think sometimes they make bad choices? Absolutely, but that doesn't make me respect them less. What everyone has to remember is that Frontier develops the game, and while they may play it, they're not invested in playing it. Perhaps some are, but I doubt very much that the lead designers of the game go home and boot up Elite Dangerous most nights to play. And that's where we come in. We are the players. We are the ones who are committed to actually playing the game and interacting with it in a far more detailed manner than a bug tester at Frontier would. So if anyone from Frontier watches this, please remember, I think you guys do an awesome job, but there are problems. Big problems, and this is my way to hopefully highlight some of them to you. This isn't bashing, this is just my attempt to help the devs better understand the player's perspective within the game and what most of us wish and hope Elite Dangerous could become in the future. If you like this video or any of my other videos, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The more support I can get from you guys means more time I can take away from my day-to-day work and direct it towards making more content. If you can't, then supporting me by liking the video and subscribing would also be fantastic. Also, don't forget to add me on Twitter to keep up to date with what I'm doing and other silly shenanigans. This is Vindicated Jones signing off. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you out there in the big black.